Welcome everyone, bienvenidos. Welcome to Tech Talks and More. Bienvenidos a charlas tecnológicas y más. Bienvenidos a todos. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to Tech Talks and More. Today we're going to be talking about social emotional learning. Bienvenidos a todos a charlas tecnológicas y más. Hoy vamos a hablar acerca del aprendizaje socioemocional. Bienvenidos, welcome. Okay, in regards to interpretation, please click on the globe icon. It's at the bottom of the screen. And select the language of preference for you. So it's the little icon at the bottom, the little globe. And then once you do that, you will engage and listen to the presentation in the language you have selected. Thank you and welcome. Para servicios de interpretación, por favor hagan clic en el símbolo del mundo en la parte de abajo de su pantalla. Es una bolita del mundo. Y si por favor pueden seleccionar el idioma que le gustaría escuchar. Y así podrán participar y escuchar la presentación en el idioma que seleccionen. Bienvenidos, yo soy la señora Ana de Loera, les damos las bienvenidas a todos. Welcome everyone, I'm Ana de Loera, you're the parent ed coach, and welcome to Tech Talks and More. Okay, please keep in mind that this is a webinar participation. So you are able to use the Q&A at the bottom. And you also are able to use the chat. So it's Q&A and the chat. And you can type your questions there and we will address any concerns. So thank you and welcome. It is my pleasure to introduce our presenter today, Ms. Trisha Farris. Ms. Farris.
Good afternoon, parents and families. My name is Trisha Lutero Farris, and I am the Systems of Support Advisor for Downtown and MacArthur Park Community of Schools, and I'm really happy to be here. Before we start, I'd like us to check in very quickly in the chat. If you can please put, how do you feel today? On a scale of 1 to 5, how do you feel today? Number 1, if you're feeling like a 1, you're tired, maybe you're hungry or sleepy, you had a bad day. 2, 3, 4, and then 5 is you're feeling really good, you have a lot of energy right now, and you're excited to be here. So if you can please put that in the chat, families. Okay, I see 5s, 3s, good. Some of us feeling 2. Some of us are 1. So we're a little bit all over the place. If you're feeling 1, 2, 3, I hope you have a better day by the end of the day. If you're feeling 4 and 5, I'm really happy and that we can continue to the rest of the week. So thank you for sharing with us. So thank you for coming. And so I'm going to present to you what is socio-emotional learning for our and what does that mean for you as a parent and families, and what does it mean for your students? So for we're going to watch a quick video, but I just wanted to explain a little bit more what socio-emotional learning is. It is a very important part of the education and human development. It's the process through which all young people and adults acquire and apply the knowledge and skills and attitudes to develop their healthy identities, to manage their emotions, and achieve personal and collective goals, to feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain supportive relationships, and make responsible and caring decisions. SEL, or socio-emotional learning, also advances educational equity and excellence through authentic school and family community partnerships to establish learning environments and experiences that feature trusting and collaborative relationships, rigorous and meaningful curriculum and instruction, and ongoing evaluation. Socio-emotional learning can help address various forms of inequity and empower young people and adults to co-create thriving schools and contribute to safe and healthy and just communities. So we're going to watch a quick video to kind of help you wrap your head around what exactly is socio-emotional learning.
As parents, we know that there is more to raising a child than teaching reading, writing, history, and math. Raising a child means that schools and parents must work together to create safe and supportive environments while helping children to understand themselves, understand others, and make responsible decisions.
It's important for children to see that they have role models that aren't always the ones that they expect to have.
You know that saying that parents are the first teachers, that's very true, because I think that as a school, there's only so much that we can do.
I think parent involvement in school is huge because I think it's really important when kids feel the partnership that their families have with a school. And so we work to have structures and systems in place that will help kids be able to do those things.
Social and emotional learning, or SEL, is how children and adults understand and manage their emotions, set and achieve positive goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions.
When adults are modeling SEL for students, whether it's parents or teachers or staff members, they're really building relationships with one another, which ultimately impacts how they work with one another as adults.
I think it's really, really important for them to be self-aware. I think being able to identify their emotions and deal with them, it's sometimes really important to be able to stop and reflect.
We're intellectual, emotional creatures. To learn the skills necessary, one has to have both a healthy internal life and external life. And so being self-aware of that is really critical.
First of all, we have to learn how to manage our stress ourselves.
How to deal with stress. In today's society where everything just seems to go 90 miles an hour, you have to just take a time out yourself.
I mean, it's important to be shown to him that there's different ways to deal with stressful situations.
Teach him how to deal with emotions.
Like, did we give them the skills to be able to handle conflict or resolve conflict?
When kids are able to process their own feelings, acknowledge what's going on with others around them, not only for others, but for oneself, right? Forgiveness and what led to this? How might I do this differently?
They have to have a sense of empathy. They have to have respect for other people, other cultures.
I want him to learn how to interact with other kids, how to play, how to cooperate, how to do things together, also have fun.
I think that has been the best thing with my relationship with my daughter, that she's able to communicate well with others, speak her feelings.
That's important because the world around us is all about relationships. Our children need to be able to guide themselves through there so that they can achieve those things that they need to achieve and be able to communicate them effectively.
I'm always thinking about how are we potentially impacting students in a way that will make them think twice? Like, how are we helping them make good decisions?
He's starting to understand that why do one thing instead of another and how it affects other people. explaining to him his actions have influence on his quality of life.
I think our children need to be able to be confident enough to articulate what they're feeling and to be able to just showcase their strengths.
Those 5 competencies apply to being successful anywhere. That's the kind of employee I'd like to work with. That's the kind of student that I'd like to have in my classroom. That's the kind of person I'd like to study with after school.
And that helps build a positive climate and environment that sets the tone for learning.
Research shows that SEL can have a positive impact on school climate and promote a host of benefits for students, including better academic performance, improved attitudes about school, fewer negative behaviors like office referrals or drug and alcohol use, and reduced emotional stress.
Every child can reach their full potential and are provided the supports and the resources that they need to reach that potential. My hope would be that families are engaged and feel welcomed at the school and can get the resources that they need through the school.
In order for students to meet their full potential academically, I think that their social and emotional needs need to also be met.
Social emotional learning is something that people can learn and that we can help to teach that. My wish or my hope is that schools see themselves as places of support for kids and families and community.
We are their #1 role model. Between modeling and direct engagement in their education and direct engagement with the school and the teachers and participating, the parent's the #1 educator from day one.
Those strategies that mom and dad share with them are also the same strategies that schools have shared with them.
As students learn social and emotional skills, it's important that they have opportunities to practice and apply those skills in real-life situations, both at school and at home.
One of the ways that parents can help children at home through the use of social emotional learning is to connect with the school.
Whether it is attending local school meetings, parent-teacher conference, emailing their teachers, I think it's just important in whatever way you feel you want to engage to do so.
Parents can help bring SEL into the home in many ways. Here are 5 examples to consider. For self-awareness, take time to talk about feelings with your child every day by sharing your own feelings and asking your child to name their feelings as well. For self-management, teach and model positive ways of managing stress, disappointment, and anger. For social awareness, use story time to develop social awareness by asking your child how they would feel if they were in a similar situation as the characters in the story. For relationship skills, develop your child's ability to resolve a conflict by asking questions about the situation instead of giving advice. For example, try asking, "What do you think your friend was feeling when that happened?" Or, "How can you work to make things right?" And finally, for responsible decision-making, talk to your child about consequences by asking questions like, "What might happen if you choose not to wear your coat if it's cold outside?" Or, "How might your friend feel if you choose to cancel your plans to get together?"
Social emotional learning helps us because it brings us all together.
Social emotional learning is a journey we're all on until the day we die. We're all striving to be the best person we can be.
My hopes and dreams are that my students just are able to fulfill their full potential in life.
We need every child to be ready to take on whatever the world brings them. And social emotional learning and the strategies that teachers use to garner that will enable our children to get there. I just want them to be ready for the world and take it on and take it by storm.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, families, for watching with us. And here's a couple of questions, a few questions that we'd like you to think about, and you can answer in the chat based on the video. So if there is one thing that stood out to you as you were watching the video about socio-emotional learning, maybe thinking around what is your responsibility as a parent or caregiver And what is the school's responsibility to help your child with their socio-emotional learning competencies? If you could please open up the chat so our parents can interact. Give a few minutes to think.
Someone saying, every day I walk with my 8-year-old daughter and we have a few minutes to share our feelings.
Thank you, Miss Pedrosa. And we have here to share with our children about our own feelings and experiences as life examples. Yes.
Someone else is saying, Ms. Natividad is saying, at home, talk with your teen about feelings, especially when you're new at a new school or you're meeting new people.
Absolutely. Sometimes at my former location, I used to meet with parents and we used to talk about the one question that would come up. My parents would ask me, Miss, how do I get my child to stop using the phone and talk? And I think that's very hard, and we have to be very deliberate about it and make sure that we make time as adults to be good models for our children. I know a lot of times I'm on my phone or my device and my children say, Mom, you know, you've been on your phone for a long time. I said, oh, okay, I'm sorry. And so putting it down, putting the phone down and making time to have conversations. Because even though it seems that our kids don't want to talk to us, they really do. We just have to open up the doors and show good communication and always leave the door open. So we have a few more.
Yes, Roxana is saying that she likes to ask questions about how the day went or at the classes, how they feel about the classes they're taking.
Perfect. And we have Mr. Noah Lopez. What stood out to Mr. Lopez? What do you think? How would a person feel when we teach empathy? And yes, Mr. or I'm sorry, Bolanath, it says, or Miss Bolanath, I'm sorry. It's hard when the school is not open and it's hard for our kids to understand about other cultures or religions and having to re-educate. Yeah, we have to teach our kids social awareness and relationship skills. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go further and explain a little bit more in depth about each of these competencies. So we're going to move forward. Thank you, parents, for interacting with us. If you have any further questions, if you can just put in the chat and we can head to it at the end of the webinar. But here are the 5 competencies. These are the CASEL, the collaborative or academic and social emotional learning. And LA Unified uses a different set of 4 SEL competencies, but they're basically the same. So we have these 5 competencies. We have self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and growth mindset. And we're going to go into depth a little bit more. So next slide, please. So self-awareness, it is the ability to understand one's own emotions, thoughts, and values, and how they influence behavior across contexts. This includes capacities to recognize one's strengths and limitations with a well-grounded sense of confidence and purpose. For me, I think self-awareness is one of the most important socio-emotional learning skills that we can do as adults. And something that I do in my classrooms where I'd like to highlight that I would like my students to have a heightened sense of self-awareness. Next slide. Okay, so here are some things that we can do to increase our students and our children's self-awareness. In school, we want to integrate personal and social identities. We want our children to be able to have that space to say, this is who I am, and have that show up every day at home and in the classrooms. We want to identify personal, cultural, and linguistic assets, meaning we want to show our children and our students that your cultural assets and is very positive, and we want to highlight that every day. We want to validate and affirm their identities. We want to have our students be able to, and our families, our children, to identify their emotions, that they know that, oh, I'm angry right now, I'm sad, I'm mad, I'm frustrated. And it takes time, because sometimes as adults we can't manage it's hard to identify our own emotions, but it takes a lot of practice, right? Then we have demonstrating honesty and integrity, linking feelings, values, and thoughts, examining prejudices and biases, experiencing self-efficacy, having a growth mindset, and developing interest and a sense of purpose are all part of self-awareness. Next slide. Another one of the socio-emotional learning competencies is self-management, the ability to manage one's emotions, thoughts, and behaviors effectively in different situations and to achieve goals and aspirations. This includes the capacities to delay gratification, manage our own stress, and feel motivation and agency to accomplish personal and collective goals. For our students and for our children, one thing that's really big for me with my own children is understanding their emotions and knowing what to do with them. And stress management. I know for a lot of us, being at home for the last 14 months was very difficult. We all had to learn how to manage our emotions and manage the stressful situations, and we're all still learning. So I hope this continues and we can support families in helping you help your children. Okay, next slide. We have growth mindset. I think many of us have heard this before with our children. The belief that one's abilities can grow with effort. This includes the capacities to consider practicing skills, not being easily discouraged by challenges, and resisting the idea that intelligence is fixed. So some things that we can do for our students and for our children is demonstrating curiosity and open-mindedness, trial and error, seeking help. We learn from failure, open to constructive feedback, and setting goals. So one thing that we can do with our children, I like to use the word yet. And so sometimes my children will say, oh, I can't do this. And I will help them reframe it by saying, well, you can't do it yet, but we're going to learn how. So a lot of time with growth mindset, we can change it. Just because we don't know it now doesn't mean that we'll never know it. So maybe that's one little thing that we can do at home, helping our children see, oh, I can't do it, but you can't do it yet. So we'll have to take time to learn how to do it. Next slide, please. We have the next one is relationship skills, the abilities to establish and maintain healthy and supportive relationships and to effectively navigate settings with diverse individuals and groups. This includes the capacity to communicate clearly, listen actively, cooperate, work collaboratively, to problem solve and negotiate conflict constructively, navigate settings with differing social and cultural demands and opportunities, provide leadership, and seek or offer help when needed. I can say that in our schools, we really help your child work on these relationship skills. I know it's been hard because we have been at home But I'm hoping when we do go back, everybody comes back and we really go back to working on our relationship skills. So in our schools in LA Unified, we have the restorative practices philosophy, which helps our children and helps the adults on campus build positive relationships with each other. And it helps our kids go by living through restorative practices. We help our students with conflict management, managing their and knowing what to do with their emotions and learning how to communicate with others. And so that's something else that I'd love to introduce one day and that we can do at home and have a restorative conversation with our children. How do we talk to our kids in a manner where we can, it's a teachable moment, not just getting mad at them, but having them learn about, you know, what the conflict was at home or at school, and then how can they learn from it. And next slide. Here are some ways that we teach relationship skills and work on relationship skills. We want to work on our communication, develop positive relationships, demonstrating cultural competency, practicing teamwork and collaborative problem solving, resolving conflict constructively, resisting negative social pressure, showing leadership in our groups, seeking or offering support and help when needed, and standing up for the rights of others. Just some ways that we can show and build relationship skills. Okay, next slide. And then we have our social awareness, the ability to understand the perspectives of and empathize with others, including those from diverse backgrounds, cultures, and contexts. This includes the capacities to feel compassion for others, understand broader historical and social norms for behavior in different settings, and recognize family, school, and community resources and supports. In the video, you saw a family reading a book together. And one of the questions or one of the ways that we can help build social awareness was asking our children, so what would you do if you were put in that person's position? How do we, you know, what would your perspective be? And this is something that we can work on with our families. Just really asking those really simple questions as we interact. Okay, next slide. Okay, some ways that we can do this and help at home. Taking others' perspectives, like I mentioned, recognizing strengths in others, demonstrating empathy and compassion, showing concern for the feelings of others, understanding and expressing gratitude, and identifying diverse social norms, including unjust ones, and recognizing situational demands and opportunities. Okay, next slide. So for those of us who have children in elementary school, these are a few ways. There's two major ways that actually, let me backtrack. For our children, every grade, K through 12, we have our resiliency days. Every day is Mindful Monday in our classrooms. And we ask our staff and we have our teachers and we have our students go through a mindfulness practice, either something that's meditation or thinking about helping us be more mindful and grateful in our day. Every Tuesday, we call it Gratitude Tuesday. We think about being grateful and we think, what am I thankful for today? And I think we went through it a little bit earlier, but gratitude and showing gratitude is one way to build your socio-emotional learning skills, but it's also a way to de-stress. When we think about ways that we are thankful and what we are thankful for, even the smallest things, it really is part of the de-stressing moments. Wellness Wednesday, like today, we have our teachers and our students focus on what makes us well. It could be different aspects of wellness. What self-care do I practice today? What am I doing for my physical health to keep me well? So we ask our kids and our adults on campus different questions about wellness. Thoughtful Thursday, we have everybody be thoughtful. We ask these questions about empathy and sympathy and having us process like what has happened throughout the week. And then finally, Fun Friday. It can never be a week without Fun Friday. So we try to include really fun activities for our students and questions about music, dancing, things that kids are interested in, because, you know, what adults are interested in. You know, the movies we watch and the music we listen to is a little bit different from the kids. So we kind of have it student focused and have them, what do you like? What music do you like? Let's play some music. Take a little bit time of our day to include Fun Fridays in our week. And another way that, a couple more ways that we include SEL in your child's classroom is through, especially elementary school. We have the Sanford Harmony Kit, Sanford Harmony Socio-Emotional Learning Curriculum, which highlights our students and teaches them these particular skills in a more direct manner. Like we have our students know what self-efficacy is and learn the keyword and the key terms of self-awareness, relationship skills, and it's lessons that teachers can go through. We also have the second step curriculum for our older students in middle school that will help them, and it's much like the Sanford Harmony, but aimed towards working with our older students with meditations and relationship building and relationship skills, anti-bullying aspects. In high school, there is an advisory that your child participates in, and every day that your child, actually every week, your child should be going through a directed socio-emotional learning curriculum that is beautifully done by our socio-emotional learning department. And your child's teacher should take your child through these particular lessons to help them strengthen their socio-emotional learning skills. So with that being said, I think my time is up. And so I'm going to open the chat one more time. And I would like you to just really think about, what did you learn about yourself, or how can you support your child at home as we go into the summer break? And I know this question's not there, but what can your child's teachers do, and how can we help families with supporting socio-emotional learning at home? So a couple of questions. Okay, so go ahead and engage in the chat. So what did you learn about yourself? How can we support your child? How can you support your child? I'm going to address Mr. or Mrs. Bolanak. Thank you for your concern. LAUSD, especially Local District Central, had 5 town halls that address the, 4 town halls that address the Asian and Pacific Islander Month, and we're sorry that you missed the announcements. I wish you would have seen the town halls. They're available on our website that you could see them. They're wonderful. For the last week of school, how will LAUSD support their LGBTQ plus student body for Pride Month? Great question. If you can look onto the Diversity and Inclusion Department, if somebody on our panel can drop that link for the information for our parent who is interested, that would be great. I do know that every month that the Diversity and Inclusion has a group for LGBTQ plus students and their families. Today, it's actually today from 3:15 to 3:45 is for grown-ups, and the children hop on at 3:45, and that's from grades, the lower grades. I'm not quite sure about the older grades, but parent Mr. and Mrs. Bolana, thank you for pointing that out. And maybe we need to do a better job of getting all this information out to our parents about the different ways that we are supporting the diversity and inclusion of our families. And you know what, I have to agree. Helping our students with their cultural identity and their individual identities is very, very key to their development and their social awareness. So please, thank you for bringing that up. I have parents. Is there anything that Ms. Martinez, can you help me read?
Yes. So I have someone for the summer. I like to keep my second grade daughter in a routine and help build her math and reading skills for third grade. So working on the second grade skills during the summer to help her be ready for third grade.
Okay.
Another mother, Marina, is saying that as a parent, we need to be much more aware of what our children are, be aware of what's happening to our children, and and to continue to communicate with the teachers. And let the children know that teachers are important as well. And kids need opportunities to interact. We can use the summer to get them out, talking and communicating, reading more, talking more. And I'm talking about movies and of their interest. And this is by Ms. Hernandez.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lopez mentioned if we knew the curriculum and methodology to practice at home. Perfect. Yes. At your individual schools, there are people that can help you with the socio-emotional learning curriculum and SEL for parents. I know at my former school that I was able to help with parents and go through a series of socio-emotional learning lessons with them that help them talk to their kids. And I really love doing that. So that's something that we can think about reintroducing back into the schools. I would love to be part of that. And you also, for parents, there's a couple of things that we can share with mindfulness. I know all families in Los Angeles County can have the opportunity to use a mindfulness inner space. I think it's called inner space, where families can do meditation practices together, which is part of the self-management and social awareness of learning of the socio-emotional learning competencies that we ourselves as adults learning as well as our children. So that's part of it. So we have, is it Headspace? If somebody can drop in the chat, Headspace for our families, that is a free app. I think also Inner Explorer, parents are able to access Inner Explorer through their child's LAUSD account, or their parent portal account as well. So that's something that you might be interested in to help practice calming yourself, stress management with our families and our children. That's something that's awesome.
Any other questions? Do we have anything else in the chat?
We have a parent, appreciate the support for the program and helping our students. Yes, this support that we have for socio-emotional learning and socio-emotional management for our children happens very early, and we hope that we can support our children from day one to even as adults. I think as adults, I'm not a master at any of these things, and I am constantly working on my socio-emotional learning competencies as I do with my own children, as I do with my own students, my coworkers, and other adults. So it's a lifelong process to be able to learn how to manage your emotions and be strong and identify all these competencies and see which one am I weak in, which one am I strong in, what do I need to work on. So I think that's, this is something that I think is very important, especially when going back to in-person learning. Our children will need a lot more of this. And I'm a big proponent of socio-emotional learning first, because everything else happens after that. There is no learning if our children do not feel safe and cared for. Absolutely. And so that's something that we need to address. Our students need to be safe. Our students need to feel, our families need to feel safe and heard. And we're really trying. So if there is a family out there that would like to further discuss anything or have any questions, because I'm reading the chat and there's a lot in there that we need to, that we can address. And if you'd like to reach out to me personally, I'm going to put it in the chat. Here is my email. And I'm going to put it in all caps because I have an L in my name. And sometimes people are like, is that an L or an I? So it's tcl@lausd.net. And you may be able to reach me there if you have further questions, or if you want to, talk, or you need more direction where to get certain resources. So I'm going to ask one more time, Ms. Areguin, Ms. De Loera, Ms. Martinez, and team, is there any other questions in the Q&A that we can address before I hand it off?
I think just one parent had shared a little bit more about, how we need the skills ourselves and the resources and how to access some of those resources to address both their own needs and how to deal with maybe some of the social emotional supports their children need. So what would you recommend on a daily basis? I know you gave some examples of websites, but who to go to at our school sites or on those hotline numbers? What would you recommend that help support families with the meeting the social emotional needs?
What I suggest, number one, if we are looking for socio-emotional support and mental health services, we do need to address that with our PSWs, our children's teachers, and reach out to our psychiatric social workers and mental health for more pressing concerns. So if you feel like your children or yourself is in a mental health crisis or needs additional support, then I would call the mental health hotline or contact your child's PSW on their campuses for socio-emotional support. In terms of general socio-emotional learning with families and communication, it's an ongoing process. It's the way we ask questions. It's the way we talk to each other and model. I think the best thing that the advice I can give as a parent is modeling. For example, I have a 6th grader and a 3rd grader. The other day, I was very, very upset at something. And my son said to me, "Mom, you seem to be having a problem." And I said, "I am." Sometimes in our regular lives, we would blow up. We would get mad at everybody and just start yelling. But my son told me, "Mom, take a deep breath and just relax." And for my 12-year-old to tell me that was really important to me, that he's learning at his school that how to calm down, and he's reminding me, "Mom, be a good role model and manage my emotions a certain way." So I was really proud of him that he was able to help me do that. And so reminding me that I have to model that and model it back for my own children and for my students and for those I work around. So what I would suggest, model and practice ourselves. We can't teach what we don't know. So we ourselves have to work on being good models and work on our own socio-emotional learning before we have our children learn how to do it or practice it or anything. So I say that for teachers as well. I ask my teachers to be able to work on their own socio-emotional learning skills before we go ahead and work with our children.
There's another question about if you can talk more about second step, please.
Second step is a curriculum it's a free curriculum for our 6 to 12, not 6 to 12, I'm sorry. I think it's for our 6th to 8th grade students. And it's basically very much like this, like there are daily lessons that help our students with their emotions and identifying empathy and identifying and taking perspectives. And I'm hoping that many of our teachers are using the second step lessons in their advisory classes, especially for 6th, 7th, and 8th, because there is time to do our SEL lessons in our advisory classes. So I'm thinking that is happening in most spaces. If they're not using second step, they are using the socio-emotional learning department SEL lessons.
Thank you. I believe that's it for right now.
Okay.
If I may add, yes, Ms. Pittman is making an indication that the curriculum does begin in elementary school. And I'd like to say that as a new teacher many, many years ago, second step was introduced to our students. And again, those lessons are very specific to their age level, and they focus on identifying empathy, conflict resolution, and all those skill sets that are needed to recognize how we treat others, and really just how to develop those skills that we might need as we are encountering conflict. So it's never too early to develop this understanding. And again, one of the most important key components that we begin with in elementary school is empathy. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. And again, my email, I'll put it in the chat when I'm finished. But thank you for having me. And I hope our summer with our children will be fabulous. I know I'm going to need some rest. And I'm looking forward to meeting you and meeting your families as soon as, when we go back in person. So thank you so much. And I'm going to give it up for Miss Anna.
Thank you so much, Ms. Farris. Amazing presentation. Thank you, parents, for participating. Now, I wanted to let everyone know the information that you see before you, the PACE team, led by our amazing administrator, Ms. Teresa Arreguin, and you see the email there, and our community reps for local district Central, Norma Gutierrez and Ms. Sono. And of course, the individual parent educator coaches, beginning with myself. I represent downtown LA, MacArthur Park, and my email is there in the screen. Ms. Ana Martinez, Eagle Rock, Highland Park. Cyrene Saint Amant, our other parent ed coach for Glassell Park, Los Feliz. Mr. Alex Campbell for Jefferson South Central. Elizabeth Lomeli for Koreatown, Pico Union, and Ms. Vilma Monson for Manual Arts, Vermont Square. So whatever your community of schools are and whatever help you may need, please take a picture of the screen and you can send us an email and we will respond immediately to whatever you may need or whatever resources we can give you. So next. Okay, now we have our announcements, and parents, please have your cell phones ready if you want to take a picture of some of the events that are going on. We have the flyer beginning with our hotline for LAUSD. Anything you need from parent portal to COVID-19 tests or vaccinations to support with your daily pass. Please call the number on the screen, which is the hotline at 213-443-1300. And please take a picture so you don't lose it and put it in your phone. That's the hotline that you can use. Okay, next. We have our Title I virtual conference this Saturday. So please come join us. Please, is this Saturday, the time there, you could see it on the screen, take a snapshot. It begins at 8:30 until 9:10. We have our general session, and then we have workshops for parents beginning at 9:20. We have workshop number 1 and workshop number 2 at 10:30 a.m. And there's going to be raffles, and it's going to be a lot of fun. and great workshops for all our parents at LD Central. The Zoom is there on the screen. Please take a picture. Is the 859-3071-6593 Zoom ID. So please take a picture, parents, and come and join us this Saturday for our Title I virtual conference. And I hope you guys can make it. It's going to be amazing. Next. And this is the vaccination information beginning last week, May 24th. You're welcome to take a picture so you know the dates and the location where the vaccines are being distributed. Please take a picture. And this is all the information we have. And these are all the dates for vaccination going until the end of June and even July. So I hope this is helpful. Please take a snapshot. And then next. Summer school from June 22nd to July 23rd. And parents, take a picture of this, or someone can drop the summer school link, chief.lausd.net/summer 2021. And you can enroll your son or daughter. So our summer school is from June 22nd to July 23rd. And it can either be virtual or in person or on campus. And you also have online options. Summer school is a full day and it begins at 8:30. So parents, please take advantage of this great opportunity. Okay. Anything in the chat? Any other questions that we need to address before we wrap it up?
No, nothing in the chat, Ms. De La Veta.
Okay, thank you. Okay, parents, thank you so much for joining us and being with us here today in our Tech Talk. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. And remember, we have our next Tech Talk is this Friday, and we'll be sending announcements out for that as well. So
Excuse me, Ms.
thank
De
you
La
so
Veta.
much. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to remind you that
Go
we
ahead.
do not have Tech Talks this Friday.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Sorry, we do not have Tech Talks this Friday because we have the Title I conference this Saturday. So I hope you all can join us for the Title I. And thank you so much. This was our last Tech Talk for the week. We'll have them again next week, Wednesday. Thank you, parents. Thank